since I can remember. I always have wanted to have a company, actually remember the name of the company I wanted to give and build something to improve things, to do something good for the planet as well as making money. I really believe that a company is a group of people. So I think that where I struggled very much at the beginning was my hiring. So I built this great team of actually very competent people that were very good at building nice stuff. I went from being one of the cheapest one in the market to be one of the most expensive one in the market in a couple of weeks. No matter how much rain there is, then the sun always comes back. Difficult time help you then enjoy or appreciate the good times.
Hi Simone, thank you so much for coming to the Live with Founder. How's it going?
Hi Max. Well, everything is going well. And you?
Very well. You probably are better than me because you are now from Barcelona, so another beautiful city that I really love. I was having a call with a founder, again, Italian from Florence. It's probably touched my heart, but Barcelona is absolutely beautiful as well. This is about you, it's not about your venture, your startup, it's just about you. And as we start, would you like to give me a picture of yourself, who you are, where you come from, and how it all started?
Of course. I'm Simone. I'm Simone Quadri. Originally, I'm from Switzerland. I early on I study economics and then I move on into the energy sector later with my studies. And but I think the in the context of this podcast, I think the interesting part is my motivation to start a company. Since I can remember, from a very early age, like my goal was to always have as far back as I remember, I always wanted to have a company. Actually, remember the name of the company I wanted to give when I first started. Then I remember later, like when I was a teen, thinking about starting a leasing company, a car leasing company, doing the numbers. So really, having a company was always kind of my not really my dream, it was kind of what I wanted to do, and that's it. So yeah, that's how I end up then having a company.
But I mean, when we normally in the startup community, we solve problems, okay? And so when you started, motivation was more coming from your dream or more coming from, I want to solve this, not just for me, I want to solve this for everyone.
Yeah, so as I say, I always wanted to have a company throughout my whole life, and actually when I got to, I think it was 20, around 2020, 22, one of my passion is car, is competing with cars, and but it's expensive, and so I actually defined a plan on how I could go back competing with cars, which involve earning some money. So I defined like a plan where I would learn throughout my 20s, and then when I would reach the 30, I would launch my company at 30, and with the aim then is to make some money and go back competing. And so that kind of was my more than the motivation, the plan. So the motivation was actually competing, and then I defined that plan. And but I think linking to your question, I also quite big into sustainability and climate change. And so at that point, I knew that whatever I would end up doing would need to be something related with those issues, so to try to solve those issues. So yeah, that's how I end up then. Well, maybe we can talk about it later, but how I end up starting a electric car, or kind of online dealership for electric car at 30. That because it was the plan, and then sustainability was kind of, so yeah, as I say, if I want to do something, let's do something that is useful for the planet.
As soon as you started as an entrepreneur, what was the feeling? How do you feel? Excited? Worried?
I think, as I say, for me, it was more like it was not like a moment that defined. I don't have like that moment where I said I'm an entrepreneur. It was kind of a journey. But what I remember was once, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, where I haven't decided yet what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do something, but I haven't decided yet. what to do. And I remember that a feeling more of I'm getting late. Like I need, I will probably wrong, but I remember clearly that feeling of now is the time where I need to focus and really start to think about what can I do. So that I think was the probably the feeling that I remember most vividly about that time when I was starting up at the beginning.
What were the initial struggles? Where do you find the most difficult part when you started being an entrepreneur, when you start your business?
Yeah, I think I had a peculiar journey compared to other funders. I was very lucky in the sense that I had initial investment from my family. So I had access to initial investment. So at the beginning, I had the possibility of doing hiring and yeah, building stuff. And I think the most difficult part came later, when actually because I didn't know anything and I didn't have to fight hard to get the funding. So basically, what I did was, sorry for the language, but it was shit. And so then when I was supposed to get the result, of course, because everything I did was not to the level you need to be. Then is when the problem actually started. So I think it was summer of 2021, was about 6 months in, and I actually it was the same time I was getting married, so I already had the stress of getting married, and then on top of it, results were not coming, and so I remember the stress of fuck's sake, we are late, we are not generating revenue, and I feel the team is not what it should be, and so that I think was tough and like more in particular I think about issue with I really believe that a company is a group of people. So I think that where I struggled very much at the beginning was my hiring. I came from a product background, so I was project manager before. So my thought was I need to build a team of designer people with UX UI skills, developers, and so I built this great team of actually very competent people that were very good at building nice stuff. But I didn't spend any time thinking about how to actually sell. So when then, so then I need to sell, I realized for fact now I'm in trouble. So then is when I need to adjust and change. So that was challenging. And then at the same time, I think while we're doing this change, what I started at the beginning was not what I'm doing now. I had to pivot, and I had to pivot because the war in Ukraine that the war in Ukraine plus the recovery after COVID that bring the price of energy quite high. And at that time, my initial idea was selling energy, and I was selling energy at cost. So I went from being one of the cheapest one in the market to be one of the most expensive one in the market in a couple of weeks. So that as well was kind of a oh well, I need to adjust very quickly, and yeah, so that was time. It was tough as well.
Me, being entrepreneur, how did it affect your life in a good and a bad way? How do you balance?
Yeah, I think it's not easy, especially now that I have a daughter. I think before was easier because you could put more hour into the work and yeah, you could do it. Where now I have a daughter, so I feel like I need to be with her, so I need to manage much more closely how I spend and allocate time. So directly how it affect me, I think the biggest impact it has is that you can never switch off. So before I was working for a company, so the weekend was kind of okay, like except like a rare time where you need to work during the weekend. Most of the time, the weekend was the weekend. Where now the weekend is just the same as the week. So you can also if you're not working in front of a desk or talking to people, like the weekend is you are thinking about the company, you're thinking about the result, and so it never stop. And I think that for me is the probably the biggest impact on my life that you don't have a rest.
Me, being entrepreneur is different than working for others. So it's very much Monday, Sunday, more than Monday to Friday.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
up It's up to you to manage the time more than others tell you what you must do. And the pleasure and also, you want to do always more and more and more brings you to work night and day most of the time. How does it look like your typical day?
Yeah, I try to be quite rigorous. Going back to the fact that now I am a father and I don't have a billion hours a day, so I usually wake up quite early in the morning, and then I do gym. I train. I set up like a small gym in the house. It is quite minimal, but do it does what it need to do. And then so I train, then do have breakfast with my family, then I work, then I will go with a bike with the ride. So you probably hear a lot of founders say stuff about yoga and stuff like this. I don't do that. I go with a ride with the bike. It's kind of my way to switch off. If I have time, I go over lunch, and then I work again in the afternoon, and then at night I spend time with my family. And usually before going to bed, I try to get a glass of wine, which I feel kind of help me relax, and I read. And I usually read. I try nowadays to spend as less time as possible with the screen of the mobile phone. I feel it kind of distract me. He bombarded you with stuff that you don't really need. I feel probably now if I'm sounding like a boomer, but that's true. I feel so. I tend to read at night, like books or more in-depth analysis of stuff. So yeah, I try to stay away from the screen.
In a bad day, and we all have bad days, especially when you start your business. At the very beginning, it's always up and down, up and down. Have you ever thought I'm the most unqualified founder? I won't get there. What actually?
Every day, I think I feel that. No, jokes aside, I think it go back to the team. Yeah, it go back to the team. So when you recognize that you have created a team that is not talented, but it's just not what you need at that point. I think there is where you go look at the mirror and say, for fuck's sake, I really screw up. Because then now you have to fire people, you have to find new people, and yeah, that is tough. So whenever I need to take decision about my stuff, there is when I feel like more unqualified because it just means that I did quite a big mistake. Especially if you get someone talented, as the people I work with usually are, but they're not like the right fit. You really feel like, why did I even get this person in the first place? And that is your mistake as a founder, not the person.
So what you like the most in what you're doing in your daily routine? What's the part in your business you really enjoy?
Think speaking with people, meetings, and in general building stuff together. So that can be a collaboration, or yeah, typically a collaboration, finding potential customer, or yeah, everything that involves speaking with people. I think I like it quite a lot. And then when you are with those people, try to build something and create something together is really what I like a lot. And that is completely opposed to what I was saying before about spending time with the screen. And try to get away from my screen as much as possible, just using it as a tool to do what you need to do. And then once you've done that task that you need the computer for, or the smartphone, and you just get off and connect with people.
Do you think about failure? Or does failure affect you?
Yeah, I quite a lot. I think, I mean, I have quite a philosophical approach to it in the sense that I think that we will die probably I don't know, everyone on this planet at the moment in 100 years' time, or we'll see. Now with advancing in medicine, you never know, but I think in 150 time, probably everyone is dead. I try to think about it as a way to put things into context. So if I fail, yeah, probably it's not ideal, but at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. But at the same time, yeah, I probably like in the day to day, I try not to think, and I always kind of I think myself as water that go down a mountain where you find a rock and just try to find a way around it. I can deny that there are times where you're scared that you don't see you are water and you don't there is a rock and you look more like a dam rather than a rock and there is no way around it, and so yeah, that are scary times.
Failure, we must cope with failure. I mean, as I said to all founders, we are there and failure is there as well. So many times we will fail in life. What is important, don't fail it too much and too big. Do not be able and capable to recover. But we live by failures. It's not just a saying, that's the reality. There is nothing to it. What do you like to do outside business? How do you spend your spare time, your free time?
Yeah, as I said before, I think I have a family, so I spend time with my daughter primarily those days, and I'm also quite big into nature and mountains. I do quite a lot of outdoor activities. I cycle, as I say. I go for a walk in the mountain with the family for a hike. So that is most. In general, I feel like spending time in nature help me a lot to relax, to disconnect. from my work for as much as you can disconnect. As I was saying before, like you're always connected, but I think nature, I feel like a place where I almost can totally disconnect. Almost.
You live in Barcelona. There are quite a few very good tech events in Barcelona. Do you take part or the tech? Do you spend some time with the tech community to go conference? And what's your take on the tech community today? Do you think it's good enough? Is doing enough for the world?
Yeah, I am attending event. I am yeah. I try to, as I said before, again going away from the screen and meeting people. I think yes. I think there are a lot of companies doing a lot of great things. I think that yeah, no matter the sector, I'm always amazed. Like sometimes you speak with people that are coming up with ideas that you don't even know there is a problem there, and then those people are finding a solution for a problem, and then you then discover exists. So I think yeah, I think it's like science. I'm quite big into science, and I'm always fascinated about how much innovation there are nowadays in science. And the same is for startup. At the same time as everything, I think there is the good and the bad. The bad, I feel that you have people that are on in this place just to make money, so they just jump on opportunity. So now it's all about artificial intelligence. So now you have people that start up in that field only to take advantage of it, or before cryptocurrency or whatever it was before. And I felt like I'm not the kind of person. I try to yeah, I prefer people that have a passion and build something to improve things, to do something good for the planet as well as making money, of course. But yeah, I think I'm quite. If you look around, I think nowadays it's quite impressive the number of new companies, ideas, and as well I think you have a lot of young people that for many reasons, but they are not looking at their career just like probably 50 years ago, where you find a big company, you go there, you work, you make money, and that's it. I think nowadays there are more and more young people try a different path, and startup and company is starting a company. I think is that path. So yeah, it's quite an exciting time, I would say.
It is. Also, startup today is not like startup was 20 years ago. Now there is a lot of support, a lot of knowledge. It's getting better and better and better. So founders, they have knowledge on one side, they have money on the other side. So there is so much that can be done. If I'm going, if you can be sitting in a round table with world leaders, what would you like to tell them that for you is something that must be fixed because it's just not there, it's not working?
I mean, from my point of view, I've always been quite. I mean, not that I'm 100 years old, but from my during my youth and now, I think that poverty is the cause of most of the problem. So all most of the problem you have now have their roots in poverty. So if you look at all sorts of issues like violence against gender, discrimination, disparity, all sorts of problems that we are facing today, I think that if you look at countries with a higher income per capita, you see that those issues are reduced. So for me, really, what we need to fight as hard as we can is to yeah, to try to develop the economic situation of the poorest. And I think that what sometimes I feel frustrated about is that we are in a time where solution exists, and I really feel that because of a lack of competence in states and government, yeah, we are not taking advantage of all the opportunity we have today to really promote and develop communities around the world. So I think that we should, like education, for example, like a very stupid and simple one, not that education is stupid, but like something very simple, and that you have great example of country where education work very well. Why we are not looking at those country and apply the same learning? Yeah, and I think the education was just an example, but I think there are today tools to really improve the economical situation uh, of of a lot of communities, and I feel sometimes frustrated because I feel that people end up in politics for the wrong reason, and then and usually the wrong people end up in politics. So that as a consequence, we are not taking advantage of all the tool that we have today to, yeah, to solve that.
We can do a lot, but compared to how much we can do, we do very little. That's the point. Are you concerned about climate change?
Yeah, of course. I think so. The company I have is all about promoting electric car and green energy. So as I say at the beginning, like I started the company, my project for being able to go back competing with cars, which is probably the most fitting sport with climate change. That's another point. But anyway, but I think that when I started, I always knew that I want to do something good for the planet. So for me, climate change is one of the main motivator of me, and I feel that that is another source of frustration. Like this, as I say, with poverty, we have the tool. Like from a technology point of view, we have the technology to solve most of the issue. And I'm not saying it's easy. And there are challenges with new technology. And there are practical aspect of building, building a grid of charger around Europe. Just to talk about Europe, like it's not easy, and it requires investment, it requires organization, it requires coordination among states. So it's not easy, but I think we have the solution, and we are developing new solution even more advanced. And what is frustrating is that, again, I think going back to what I was saying before about the political class and at the state government, there is sometimes a lack of interest because of the today political cycle that is so fast, and so you're always doing campaign, and so you're always like talking about stuff that people feel about it. So maybe you're talking about climate change in August, but you're not talking about climate change in February. And so I feel that like there is a lack of long-term planning there. And then on a state level, again, I think there is an inertia that is kind of putting on hold, despite all the great things we are doing. I think we could do more. So, and then the last one, I think, nevertheless, I feel that we shouldn't be especially young generation, see climate change as, I don't know, they live it in a negative way. It is negative, but I think if you look around, we still live in a great place. So I feel that new generation are not enjoying what we have at the moment. That we will get forced, yes, but enjoy it now. Now is there. So again, it's linked back with the think about going back for stay away from the screen. Enjoy it now while we have it, and then at the same time try to do something to fix it.
It is. I mean, we must enjoy the present and working for the future to make it better than now. It's a bit, it's a huge topic, and there are so many things working around. It's not easy to deal with this problem, and we stayed there for a very long time. Of course, we can do much more, much more than we are doing now. What are the things that really touch you that you are willing to fight for?
Well, I think climate change is one. Climate change is one, as I say, is one. The other one is the right for women and women against violence against women. It is something I don't know why, but it's something that really passionate me, and I've been interested in it. I don't know why for quite a long time, and is one of the cause that I think if I will be if we succeed with the company I have, I think I will be very much interested in. Getting involved with finding a solution, or at least improving the current situation. Just looking at Spain, is the hotspot for prostitution in Europe, with 300,000 people living in a state of slavery. Because what people doesn't know, like when you think about prostitution, a lot of people think that those people decide to go down that road, but 99%, 98%, I don't remember the percentage, are there because they are in slavery, in a state of slavery. So I think like this is a very concrete issue that I would love to fight for and find a way to help. For example, like this is a concrete one in Spain, but I think if you look around the world, there are many other specific issues country by country that I think need to be addressed on that specific area. And again, if we go back to economy development. To yeah. we need to be able to develop the living standard of people so that people are less vulnerable to those kind of situations.
The best book and author.
I have actually two. One is Shoe Dog from Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. And I like it because you look at Nike and it's a rather successful company. And what you don't see is like the early day, the struggle. And so what I always try to read it like in the summer. I think now is the third or second time that I read it. And it kind of reassuring because you read it and you go like, look, the guy now built an empire started with the same issue or started with issue and I think the book is quite good in not just focusing on the business side but on his personal life, so what we were talking before, and yeah, so I think it resonates a lot. It kind of showed that despite then being able to build a giant at the beginning, he struggled personally, he struggled with the company. So yeah, that is a very good book. And then another one is called Never Split the Difference. And it's all about being able to negotiate. It's from an ex FBI agent in charge of the negotiation team. And I read it like almost as a mistake. And then it really changed the way I communicate with people, especially around negotiation. It's a very good book that I strongly recommend to anyone that is in some way involved with negotiation. From Chris Voss.
Do you watch movie?
Favorite movie? I think I'm quite big fan of the Lord of the Rings, so I'm quite a freak there.
What is the best lesson that life gave to you?
I used to live in London, and I was not particularly happy with work, especially with work and with social life as well, which in London, yeah. And I feel like, and so I went through probably a depression. Looking back now, what could be described as a depression, and I think was tough. But like looking back, teach you that at the end of the day, the sun always come back. So no matter how much rain there is, then the sun always come back. And in some way, going back, I wouldn't repeat it, but I think in some way those time help you, difficult time help you then enjoy or appreciate the good times. When there are tough time, I always look back at that period and think, okay, now it's raining, but then the sun will come back.
Sun will always come back. We need to fight for and we need to believe on. Your greatest wish.
But personally, I really hope that the company that I'm building will work out. I sacrifice a lot. I sacrifice a lot of time with friends, with the family. So yeah, I think that is a big wish. Then of course the greatest one is to be my family healthy, my daughter healthy, my wife healthy. So yeah, that of course is the main one. But I think from a company point of view, yeah, being able to succeed and not waste, but all the hard work I put in would be good to see like the result.
If you can give a recommendation to all the founders watching this podcast, what would it be?
I think going back to Phil Knight, the shoe dog, the book about Nike, I think he gave a couple of good advice, and they are all around like how to work. And he say to do short tasks and finish a task before starting a new one. And I think this is a very good piece of advice. This is actually a very good piece of advice. Like we tend to do nowadays to do multitasking, and I feel is very unproductive. It's much more productive to focus on something, finish it, try to divide it into small tasks. It also helps because it helps you estimate how long it will take. So it will help you better plan your week or your whatever time frame. And so I think if you are able to divide your work into small tasks and then always finish a task before starting the next one, I think it will improve productivity. My guess.
I'm going to read this book. I didn't. I will read. Simone, thank you so much for coming to Live and Founder. It's been an absolute pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you.